Okay, this is going to be my lesson on fluency, and I am teaching a sixth grade class on fluency. I have 18 students, and they're basically about half and half, half female, half male. So here we go. All right, class. Hope you guys had a wonderful evening. Tommy, you did an awesome job in the basketball game. Um, we're going to get started on something new, kind of building off of the punctuation chapter that we had last week. So we're going to actually get going right away this morning, and we are going to be talking about fluency. And our book defines fluency basically reading easily and well. So that's what we're going to be kind of going for today. We're going to be paying attention to what the words are on the page, and we're going to be doing this through an activity that is called choral reading. And I want you to just take a guess at what do you think choral reading might mean? Yeah, Stacy. Yep, you're kind of close. Yeah, it's not exactly singing, but it is kind of singing or reading in a style of kind of a choral kind of group or a chorus that does it. So it's a reading, but we're going to be doing it, reading aloud in unison with the class, and then breaking it down in small groups as well. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to have you guys just take out a piece of paper, just any sheet of paper. You don't need too much room, and I want you to think about answering this question. If you were a parent, what advice would you give to your child to help them be a good person? Okay, so now you're all parents, and the question is just simply, what advice would you give your kid to help them be a good person? Just in 2 to 3 sentences, just take about maybe 30 seconds to kind of jot down an idea. Okay, great. So checking back in, what kind of, did you guys come up with? Let's see. Steve? Okay, great. Just wanting them to do kind of how others, you'd want to be treated the same as you would treat other people. Okay, that's good. Sure, helping people out when they're less fortunate. Yeah, definitely. That's a good one. And one more. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I think we kind of got an idea here of what we're looking for. So now just kind of keep that kind of in the back of your minds there, just for references as we move forward. Um, Choral reading there's a few strategies that are involved. But first, I do want to talk about the learning objective for the day. So learning objective is students will learn the techniques of choral reading and will read the lyrics to the song Imagine by John Lennon in the choral reading style. So are we familiar with the song at all? Do people know who John Lennon was? Yeah, that's right, Tom. He was one of the Beatles. Yep. And he actually wrote the song Imagine after he was with the Beatles. So um, it's a very famous song. It's used on a lot of commercials, movies. I'd be very surprised if if you don't recognize it, because we are going to listen to it later here in the lesson. But so what we're going to do is a couple of the strategies that we talked about, are going to talk about with choral reading. Is basically choral reading, is taking and paying attention to all of the nuances that a good reader has. There some of their strategies that are used there. So if you think of a good reader, why do you think, what makes a good reader sound like a good reader, maybe? Yep, tone of voice, that's good. Can we kind of think of some other ideas as well? Are they generally soft, or are they easy to be heard? Are they, too loud sometimes? Does their voice fluctuate certain parts of the stories, or are they always kind of reading with the same volume? Right, exactly. Yeah, sometimes they do speak a little bit louder than other times, right? or for to emphasize a point, right? Or softer to emphasize a point. Okay? So some of the strategies that we're actually going to be focusing on when it comes to choral reading, and when we read the lyrics together, I want you to really focus on the pitch, loudness, the intonation, the stress, so meaning not if you're stressed out, but meaning the stress that you're putting on a word or a syllable. Pauses or silence, right? I think silence can be very effective, can't it? And as well as, you know, hand gestures if you were paying attention to somebody reading something and you were there face to face with them. So it's really important though to think about that. And the reason why we're going to be working on using choral reading as a strategy is because it will help us improve our self-confidence. It will help us improve our motivation, our vocab knowledge, as well as our overall enjoyment of reading. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to hand out the piece of paper here, and what this is, you'll notice that this is the lyrics to the song Imagine by John Lennon, but you will notice that on certain parts of the page, they're broken into sections, and to the right of that, it will you'll see in bold, it has a teacher, and then all, group 1, group 2, and group 3. And as we go through the lesson here, we're going to explain a little bit about what's going to go on. So the first thing that I want you to do is just simply, you know, put your pencils down and just listen. I'm going to read the song here first, and so just really take a minute to listen to it. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. So that's basically, there's a few more lines here, but because of time, we're going to kind of skip that. You can kind of hear there's a little bit of a rhythm, and that's very important to pick up on, especially with poetry, as we've discussed before in previous units, where, you know, we've always talked about that iambic pentameter and the different rhythms that poems have. Songs are very similar to poems, right? And so you could kind of hear maybe a little bit of a rhythm that I was having. So what we're going to do is we are actually going to, I'm going to split you up into groups of 3. So there'll be 3 groups of 6. And if you notice on your desks, I actually did put a number by each of your desks. So I need all of the number 1s over in this to the right here, all of the number 2s over to the left, and then all of the number 3s right in the middle. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and take a minute and get in those groups. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to, in your groups, group 1, if you notice on the sheet there, group 1, you are going to have that first verse where it says, imagine there's no countries. Group 2, you will start with, you may say I'm a dreamer. And group 3, you're going to be under the imagine no possessions. So on the parts where it says teacher, obviously I will be reading that section, those 4 lines. Where it says all the groups are going to read together. That is actually what is considered the chorus in the song. And then obviously, then you're going to be reading under your own individual groups as well. Okay, and then the one last thing that we're going to do is that's important when we read is to, like I said, stay in a certain time. So we're actually going to, I have a metronome here, which is going to keep the beat for us, okay, or the rhythm. I'm going to turn it down a little bit so it's a little bit slower. Okay, so I will start it off, and then we will continue and really think about some of the things, the pitch, the intonation, the stress, loudness, okay, that we talked about. Okay, let's just go a little slower. Okay, here we go. Imagine there's no heaven. I'm going to actually speed it up a little. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. Okay, good. Now we got that through that. Nice job, everyone. So let's now just think about some quick comments. What did you guys notice as we kind of were reading together and kind of taking turns as we had, because obviously we're facing each other here. So what do you think? Yeah, it was kind of neat, kind of just staying in a rhythm, right? Almost like we were kind of singing a song. And did you hear some of the different pitches and intonations and the stress and where parts kind of got louder and softer, right? And some of the pauses in between the verse and the chorus, right? Yep, very good. All right, so after we all read that, then as the group together, and you guys did such a good job with that. What I want you to do now is just take a listen to the actual song. I'm going to play here the real song, and so you can just kind of hear a little bit. Imagine there's no heaven. Yep, and just follow along as it goes. You try. No hell below us. Only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country. Okay, so now that we listened to the entire song, isn't it really interesting how you can hear the different inflections that John Lennon used to really convey a feeling of sadness and also hope. The song has been written a lot about kind of the struggles of mankind and how we'd be a lot better off if we were just kind of kind to everyone and we didn't care about our possessions and everything like that. So now for the final thing, what I'd like you to do is again just take kind of a couple seconds here and just write in 2 or 3 sentences kind of what lesson or meaning can you take away from the song in order to live a better life. So kind of basing off of our first question being kind of how can we help be better people. Now can you just take a couple seconds to think about what you can take away from the song in order to kind of be a better person. Okay, great. And so now that we've discussed kind of our answers there, for homework, what I would like you to do is kind of expand on that question of, what lesson or meaning can you take away from the song in order to live the better life, and really think about, the way that the words were said and used to convey that feeling. Okay? Great. Well, appreciate everybody working hard today, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.